Hi class, this is Dominic Wyszynski. I'm here to do my formative assessment. That will be the method I'll be choosing is group work. The first thing we're going to be concerned with is where students are at. So we could use the different baseline assessment tests to see just exactly where they're at, where they need to go. Now for this lesson, I'm going to be assuming that students are working slightly below math grade level, and we're going to be splitting them into 5 different small groups of 3 to incorporate each learning method for them so we can accommodate the different ways that they learn and their different structural needs. One question I have is, do you think old school teacher-led lesson plans are the most effective? Fortunately, studies have led us to believe that that's no longer the case. Adjustments and accommodations need to be made. Student engagement should be the primary focus of the lesson. Groups definitely allow each student to engage each other with the specific task at hand. Now, group work is defined as more than one person working together to complete a task or assignment. In the classroom, group work can take many different forms. The goal remains the same: to get students to interact with each other and collaborate together in a unified task. Group work tends to be more engaged in classrooms while also helping them learn from each other. This can also provide teachers to help build positive student-to-student relationships and interactions with each other. Group work also really specifically allows the teachers to provide the time for themselves to do individual assessment, which I know can be difficult. Group work also helps students stay focused and keeps the tasks that they're learning to a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes in this case. Some problems you can have with group work. One can find group work within most classrooms. However, it's not always the most effective. Teachers need to be very careful when designing the groups and the tasks at hand for the individuals in the groups. If the tasks are too hard or too easy, students can be unmotivated and not willing to perform the task. Psychologists also talk about social loafing, which means that the individuals within the group will they will basically lean on either the smartest or the most willing member to perform the task. To avoid this, the teacher needs to make sure that they provide individual assessments within the group and carefully monitor the progress. This can definitely help, like I said, to build those student-to-student relationships, keep students engaged, and help them learn from each other, which we find out them learning from peers is very, very effective. Materials you'll need, I don't have them on me, but jelly beans, soft squared blocks, MacBooks, headphones, math packets, pencils, erasers, and visual aids will be very important, especially for those students with diverse needs. They need to see it in all the different learning ways so that we can provide the most effective methods to them. Group 1 will be working with blocks to perform simply adding numbers below 10. Group 2 will be we'll be working with jelly beans to perform subtracting. The visual aid will help them put it together and count the stuff in their head. Group 3 will perform math packets with addition and subtraction problems once they get through the other ones. Group 4 will be using MacBooks to complete assignments. Math videos and audio assistance will be provided so that students can have that available. Group 5 will be given a pen and paper without math problems. The goal here is to try to get them to create their own problems, maybe figure out the ones they already know or figure out the ones they need to work on, and kind of give them a little free rein and just try to cognitively think and create those problems on their own. This is where the students can be pulled individually to kind of track the short-term progress of the goals and the tasks at hand. Now also, I think that Think, Pair, Share can be incorporated into group work very effectively. I think a good way to do this would be to ask each individual student when they're in one specific group, maybe the problem that they create on their own, to perform one addition or subtraction problem, and then they can discuss that within the group, When they are deemed that they are ready within the group's time period, they could then raise their hand and they could be prepared to share with the class. We'll briefly stop and then, give them a round of applause and do all that stuff. As we learned in the video, students are more comfortable with sharing things after they share them with their peers. So I think that this will be a very effective way of incorporating it, and it'll also be a huge confidence booster for some of the individual students. Each student should be placed, in this case, is going to be in a group of about 3 to minimize off-task behavior as well as behaviors. Classroom aides will also be monitoring stations and providing assistance for struggling students. The blocks and jelly beans are specifically designed to help the kinesthetic hands-on learners so that they can count and they can kind of teach themselves as they go along. To implement group work, each station needs to be modeled exactly the way students are needed to perform. The best way is to start slow and answer any questions they may have. In my experience, pinpointing is definitely a very effective method for this. I think that using the students that are willing to step up in front of the class and seeing the behavior firsthand is definitely very effective. And also, again, to minimize social loathing, students need to be held accountable for their each individual work at each station. And again, another one. Group members. Teachers should put a lot of thought into which individuals will be placed in with each group. One does not want to have the higher level learners all together and the lower learners all together for obvious reasons. Groups can always be changed if deemed necessary by the teacher as the lesson goes on. Also, make adjustments. It doesn't have to be exactly the way you planned it up in your head. Make accommodations and record. One thing I would like to do is have the groups laid out and then record which groups are struggling, which groups are succeeding, how the students seem to be working with each other so that maybe we could adjust the group members in the meantime. Okay. Now, if you see, I don't have all the equipments necessary, but let me just pull up the groups again. So group 1, I'm going to use these batteries here as blocks. As you can see, you could give them a simple math problem like 2 plus 2. We could get them to put 2 and then a 2 and then see if they can add them all together and give us the answer. Those each individual problems will be recorded, and hopefully the classroom aides will be able to provide assistance. Use these designed as the jelly beans. So, for example, I have the classroom assistant also helping them. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pencils here or jelly beans, right? We can use these to go, okay, so we have 7 jelly beans. If we take 3 away, how many will we have left? It's providing audio as well as visual and kind of a hands-on learning. Now, that's not obviously a MacBook, but we're going to pretend for a second. Students will be provided in group 5 with the MacBooks so that they can learn through math videos. Maybe some ways that the teacher can help them, make sure that the delivery is always on point, and students will definitely get the audio assistance provided necessary for them, even without a class aide. Now, group 3, I would use this as an example for the math packets. I would have addition problems on one side, subtraction problems on the other side. Very simple and easy to try to incorporate, like I said, memorization and just working through the problems effectively. I would also encourage the students to work together with each other with problems that they may have. And the kind of creative idea I have here would be pretty much to have one of the classroom aides kind of monitor this really closely, but have the students with a blank sheet of paper and have them write their own addition and subtraction problems. And I think that would really create them thinking cognitively. And maybe it would almost provide like a break station, but at the same time, it would be providing them with, like we said, the think, pair, share method, which we could get them to kind of create their own problems and then hopefully get them confident enough to share that with the class increasing once again confidence, student motivation, their willingness to speak in front of peers, and I think it'll be very effective. Thank you guys for tuning in, and this was my evidence-based strategy video. Have a good one.